Umahi and his deputy Kelechi Igwe have secured an order from the State High Court not to vacate their offices. They ruled following an expert motion by counsel to the duo Raw Umahi after the Federal High Court, sitting in Abuja, in a judgment ordered the governor and his deputy to vacate their positions. The Federal High Court ordered the sacking of Umahi and his deputy following their defection from the People's Democratic Party, on whose platform they won the election to the All Progressives Congress. But that ruling came after the Ebonyi State High Court on February 28, 2022, had ruled that Umahi and his deputy did not flout any law by defecting to the APC. Joining us to shed more light on the crisis trailing the Ebonyi State Governor, Dave Umahi, since his defection to the All Progressives Congress, APC, is the State Commissioner for Information, Uchenna Orji. You're welcome to Newsday. First of all, I'd like to... Thank you. I'd like to start with the government's comments initially when he received news of the judgment sacking him from office. He alleged that the judge was biased and corrupt, even though he later denied it. But now you have an interim order, stopping the execution of the former one. So is it safe to say that you obtained your order also by compromising the judge?
No, the true situation of the matter is that on the 28th of February, the State High Court did dispose of a matter brought before it to determine whether or not the issue of defection is a matter that the Constitution does frown on. And the High Court said no, defection or no defection, the Constitution does not know anything about that. And so that the governor has not offended any provision of the law or the Constitution. And also the deputy governor never did, and so they should continue to remain in office. So a few days after, a federal high court sitting in Abuja, sitting on the same matter, even though it's a different party, that is PDP, that went to the high court, the federal high court. So it gave a different judgment. And so looking at the background of the matter and looking at the precedents that we have had, just less than a week that Zamfara case was ruled in favor of the ruling governor, the incumbent governor. So, and the circumstances, the circumstances surrounding the whole thing made us to believe that we needed really to test the veracity of that decision of the Federal High Court. So I would say that we believe strongly that the State High Court has the correct position of the law. So that's the position of the governor. Having regard to the Supreme Court judgment on the matter, in the case of AG Federation, an article that resolved in favor of the vice president, which is also applicable to the president, the governor, the deputy governor. And this is a kind of locus classicus, a kind of a standing authority that should rule in every judgment of the court as regards defection. And so we are saying that we believe in the judgment of the State High Court. That's just the position.
Now, Dave Umahi has appealed the Federal High Court judgment under 8 counts. And I'm wondering, now that he is to stay as governor until his appeal exhausts, will this not put him in collision course with the newly appointed PDP governor interim?
Yeah, that is where the issue lies. That is where a lot of things look very suspicious. How can you appoint a governor? Wherever in the world has it ever happened? And that's why we have appealed for the appeal court to determine the veracity of that judgment. For us, that judgment is very questionable as far as we are concerned. And that's what we are questioning at the appellate court. And so for us and for INEC and for Nigerian people, there is nothing like appointed governor. And good at INEC say, look, these people talking about a judgment in Federal High Court, we have not been served. We don't know anything about that. And so our hands are tied. We cannot do anything. And of course, that is the rule of law. If they have not served INEC, and if they, of course, by our standard, the law, the pronouncement of the court, suggests that there is an issue, then we need to go upstairs, that is at appeal level, to determine the good thing. The Federal High Court rules suggest that he has up to 90 days, to do one thing or the other to ventilate his right under the Constitution. And that is what we have done. However, we are saying insistently that the judgment of the State High Court precedes that Federal High Court judgment. And so we have safely adopted and relied upon the judgment of the State High Court. And that's the step that has been taken on the 10th of this month to ensure that the State High Court does enforce that very order. And the State High Court, under its interim rule, has said that the order precedes the order of the Federal High Court and shall be bound by the entire world. Because the construction of the law is not a matter of parties, it's a matter of what is the construction of the law, the interpretation of those provisions of the law as regards defection. And court has said, no, you have not offended any provision of the Constitution of the law, as it were.
Now, yesterday there was a guest on our morning show, a program here on ARISE News, and our guest, Abia Onyuke, he spoke quite a bit, against the governor, Dave Umahi. We are hearing reports that your security outfit, Ebubeagu, paid him a visit and they attacked his house. On whose order were they acting?
I wouldn't have loved to speak about a very desperate human being that has got no integrity. This is not the first time he's going to a different media platform to speak your way for more than a year now. The reason is that in 2019, he was to contest for Senate, and his people told him, you have got no capacity, you've got no character, you cannot be our senator. That was at the primary level, that is, during the party congresses. And since then, he has now felt that the governor would have protected him. And the governor told him, how can I protect you when your people don't want you? That is the problem. He was a general manager of one of the agencies under the governor. And governor did graciously appoint him for this. But he resigned. And when he resigned, he has got nothing to do, no job. So he's collecting money from different people, different politicians to go to lie against the governor. But one thing I know is that he cannot say that the governor has not performed. He will say the governor brought Ebonyi and all of that. What kind of rubbish is that? Is he the only person in Ebonyi State? By the way, he was part of the making of Ebonyi when Ebonyi was called Neighborhood Watch, where he was part of the government. But one thing that he must know is that whatever anybody says, tomorrow it shall be used against him. He has been there talking very good about our governor. And today he's saying a different thing. If I had known that he had talked there in ARISE, I would have brought a clip where he was praising the governor. Even as at last morning, he was begging the governor.
Please allow me to interrupt you just for a brief moment. I would like us to focus on the attack on his house. We would like to know, is the government aware of the attack?
We aren't aware. And if he was attacked, he has to go to the police. Unless he was in ARISE, was it yesterday? And perhaps was attacked this morning or something, I can't remember. He has to go to the police or go to SS or report officially. I can tell you that if you ask him to get you a copy of the letter, a petition he wrote to CP or wherever, he will tell you he has got nothing. But he would choose to go to, publish unfounded, things about the state government. We cannot dissipate energy in talking with Abionik. If you have other policy issues, please go ahead. Let's talk about them.
So now that the government's aware of this attack, I don't think it's manufactured since he's confirmed that he was in fact attacked. Is there going to be any action taken by the Ebonyi State government?
Yeah, we have got no need to, join issues with him. He has been talking like this. Desperation can cause anybody to do anything. If he comes to the state government, we can assist him. But if he chooses to be going around media houses collecting money from politicians to talk, non-existent things against the government, then we need to join issues with him.
17 other members of the Ebonyi State House of Assembly were also sacked for defecting. Do you know what will become of them or whether or not they have any cases in court?
They have stayed the execution of that very judgment, and I can't speak about that because that matter, as I speak with you, has been appealed upon. And I can tell you that there are strongly members of Ebonyi State House of Assembly doing their legislative duties. But let's allow the court to determine, just like the court in the case of our governor has determined that he is still the governor of Ebonyi State, and nobody can remove him unless as provided by the Constitution or as may be pronounced upon by the Court of Appeal. So in the case of the House of Assembly, we have to wait. Let's see what will be the ruling of a court of competent jurisdiction.
In the meantime, we understand that Governor Dave Umahi has engaged the services of 18 senior advocates of Nigeria. Now, Nigerians have been reacting to that, and they're wondering how they will be paid. Will they be paid using state funds?
Those issues are not meant to be discussed in the public. You can hire the services of people. That is a very private thing. And the means of payment is also known to the person hiring. So for me, it's not an issue for public discussion.
I understand your discretion. March 16 is an interesting day because there's a hearing scheduled on the motion of notice. Could you give us what your expectations might be for that day, what the possibilities might be regarding the hearing?
Yeah, don't forget on the 28th of last month, this matter has been disposed of, and we don't expect anything less. It's all about enforcing that order of court, that decision, that judgment of court, and getting the State High Court to really establish that it has coordinate jurisdiction, coordinate powers with the Federal High Court, and that its judgment precedes the judgment of the Federal High Court. More so, the judge of that State High Court is a senior member of the bench, much more than the judge of the Federal High Court. So we are approaching the court to establish all of this and to give some orders, enforcement orders. That's all. And so we're not expecting anything less. We believe that the law shall take its course.
Well, Uchenna Orji, we'd like to thank you for joining the program this afternoon.